Hello, Year 5. Yes, it's Mr. Todd, and I'm going to be providing you with some tutoring sessions over the next few weeks for preparation for your entrance exams. I'm going to be delivering maybe up to 3 to 4 tutoring sessions, which I'll be uploading onto the school website for you to access and hopefully help you prepare for any of you that are considering doing the entrance exams. Now, the first thing that you need to do is get yourself a pencil and some paper. Don't go just yet. Make sure you've got sort of plenty of sheets of paper with you, and also make sure that you're in a room where you're not going to get disturbed, where your mum and dad are going to be looking over your shoulder. You want a nice quiet space, no pets to distract, definitely no consoles, and no phone either. You shouldn't have a phone anyway, but make sure that you are in a space where you can A, listen to me, B, concentrate, and learn. So I'm going to give you a timer, and you've got 2 minutes to go and get those things you need. Okay, I hope you managed to get everything. And before we get started on verbal reasoning in today's session, there are 2 things that I need you to write down at the top of your sheet. The first thing is, which artist drew this? You should know the name of the artist. So I want you to write down the name of the artist that drew this. And the second thing is, who's that? Who is it? You should all know. So write both of those names on your sheet, as well as your own. And I'll tell you why at the end of the session. Okay, Year 5, let's get started. So, well, I've just watched the England game and I'm in a good mood, but I thought we were woeful. Anyway, here are some questions for you. Look at these groups of words, A, B, C, and D, and then choose the correct group for each of the words below. Write in the letter. Here are some of the links that the words have in common.
You have 30 seconds to write down the answers. You have 30 seconds.
Okay, let's have a look and see how we did with that one. I'm going to reveal the answers. So 1, you should have C, pasta, food. 2, B, furniture, bench. 3, B, furniture, sofa. 4, D, heart, internal organ. 5, D, internal organs. And 6, A, van, vehicle. So hopefully you got those correct, and we're going to move on to the next section. Okay, so let's have a look at the answers. Question 1, cotton C, deodorant B, shorts A, kimono A. Kimono is a Japanese piece of clothing, like a silk dressing gown. Velvet C and cleanser B. Question 2, A was pedal. I think you should have got that one. B, yogurt. And C, moccasin. Moccasin is an item of clothing. It is I would describe it as a suede shoe, a bit like a slipper, moccasin. So hopefully you got some of those right. I think kimono and moccasin are 2 words you may not have come across before. So let's move on to the next section. Okay, with this question, you need to write the following words in the correct groups. So you have wardrobe, bungalow, wood, table, mansion, plastic, steel, cottage, and chair. Just write B, M, and F as columns, and then write the correct words underneath each of those headings. You have 2 minutes. Okay, year 5, let's have a look at the answers. So you should have, under buildings, written bungalow, which is a one-story house. Mansion, which I know some of you live in. Cottage. Under materials, now you should have got this year 5 because we've looked at materials as part of year 5 science. So under materials, you have wood, plastic and steel. Under furniture, straightforward, I think, wardrobe, table and chair. Now you actually had 2.5 minutes to answer those questions. So I was being very generous, giving you some extra time. So let's move on, year 5, on to the next set of questions. Okay, so in this section, we're going to talk about pairing up words, having a wide vocabulary. Now, I've talked about this throughout the whole of year 5, and I know Mr. Meller and Mr. McGregor would have said the same thing. You need to have a wide vocabulary and being able to recognize synonyms. You are not going to have a thesaurus year 5 when you go into an entrance exam. So different words with very similar meanings are the keys to answering these and many other similar verbal reasoning questions. To answer these questions, you need to know the definition of a word and then look carefully to find another word with a similar meaning. So let's look at this example. Underline the 2 words, one from each group, which are closest in meaning. So you've got race, shop and start, finish, begin, end. It's helpful to work logically from left to right when solving a question like this. I'm literally reading off the screen here. So take the first word in the first group and pair it with each word of the words in the second group. Can race mean finish? No, it can't. Or begin? No. Or end? No. So race cannot be the answer to this question. So let's look at the following ones. The same process with the second word in the first group. Can shop mean finish? No. Can shop mean begin? No, it can't. Can shop mean end? No. So shop cannot be part of the answer. And finally, let's look at a synonym for start. Can start mean finish? No. Can it mean begin? Yes, you know it does. Begin the race. Start your work. Begin your work. Start and begin have the same meaning. Does it mean end? Obviously not. Start does not mean end. So you would underline start and begin as these are the 2 words that are closest in meaning. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Don't write all the words, just write 2 words. Okay, so let's see how we've got on with that. You had 30 seconds. I'm going to reveal the answers. And here we go. So red. Red is a colour and scarlet is also a colour. Maybe a word you've not come across before is canopy. And canopy is very similar to an awning. So canopy and awning, something that you may build if you were doing an expedition in the Amazon, which I know some of you, I'm sure, will do in your lifetime as amazing adventurers. where you need to build something to cover yourself and protect yourself from the rain. Red, scarlet. If you've played the game Cluedo, Mrs. Scarlet, she's red. So hopefully you've done okay there. However, don't worry if you haven't. You've just learned that red and scarlet are the same, and canopy and awning are the same. So you are still learning year 5 whilst doing this tutorial video. Okay, in section 4, it's all about finding words that do not belong. In order to answer this question type, you need to find a common theme or link between a group of words and then identify the word or words that do not have the same link. Let's look at this example. So the question is, underline the 2 words which are the odd ones out in the following group of words. You've got black, king, purple, green, and house. Read each word in turn. So this is us now practicing how to do this type of question, and think about how you might describe it. So a colour, dark, black, opposite of white. Ruler, person, king, member of royal family. Colour, lilac, purple, blackcurrant juice. I'm going to scroll down. You've got colour, grass, green, environmentally friendly, building, bricks, house, home. Just going to extend my screen here now a little bit. And so, has a common link been found between 3 of the words? Yes, black, purple, and green are all colours. So the 2 odd ones out should be underlined, were king and house. If the link is not easy to see, note down as many things as you can think of. So that's just a little bit of a reminder of how we can do this type of question. Year 5 will say now that the verbal reasoning test, if any of you are sitting entrance exams, is a tricky paper. I think you've all sat this now as part of your mock entrance exams the other week, and you've probably come to realise that there's lots of questions and very little time. So you need to identify questions and the types of questions that you think you are comfortable with, that you know you can answer, and then come back to the ones that you can't. Okay, so we're going to move on, and you're now going to have a go at this type of question. So don't write all the words, just write 2 words, just odd ones out, following group of words. 30 seconds, guys. So that, if you don't know, is the soundtrack to Countdown. I know it's very annoying, but it puts you under lots of pressure. Right, let's expand. I'm going to reveal the answers, and let's do that now. So for number 1, the 2 words which were the odd ones out were jelly and ice cream, because the other were bread, biscuits, and cake. And for number 2, theatre and palace. I know some of you live in palaces, and I know some of you go to the theatre as well, because you are educated individuals who like a little bit of culture. So if you didn't know the answers to that, don't worry, you've just learned something new. So moving on to the next section, here we go. Okay, year 5, this section 5. which is find words that are the most similar. This is quite a long section, so I'm going to run through quite a few slides with you before I actually give the opportunity to have a go at a couple of examples. So again, I'm going to read literally what's on the screen for you. Listen carefully and let's have a look at the examples that they provide. So your knowledge of words and synonyms for them, that is other words with similar meanings, can be tested in a variety of ways. We have already seen this when looking at type 3 questions, which was the pair up words. So although the questions may be presented differently, they actually require you to draw on this knowledge and understanding of words and their definitions. Year 5, all I can sort of advise you in this sort of situation is that really you need to be reading all the time. You need to be understanding words. You need to be developing your vocabulary. This is a very tricky test, as I said before, and you're reading at home, and I know you know that we expect you to read at least 3 times a week, helps you with this type of section within verbal reasoning. So here's a range of similar question types that rely on your knowledge of synonyms. Remember, synonyms, other words with similar meanings. So let's look at these examples. It says underline the 2 words in each line which are most similar in type or meaning. So you've got dear, present, poor, extravagant, and expensive. Again, it's helpful to work from left to right. So start by reading the first word and noting as many different meanings as you can think of. What do you associate the word with? You've not got much time in a verbal reasoning exam, so you're not going to be able to write a huge amounts of notes. So ultimately, it's down to your knowledge of vocabulary. But let's slide down here. So we've got dear, precious, friend, costly, close. A thesaurus is a great help for finding synonyms. You use thesauruses 5T. Sorry, 5T, year 5. You've got thesauruses in class. I know we've not got many of them, but we have used them before. So let's move on to the next slide. Now read each of the other words in turn and think about their meanings in the same way. So you've got pleasant, enjoyable, friendly, poor, rundown, weak, penniless. You've got extravagant, which means wasteful and overdone. You've got expensive, which means costly, pricey, posh. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So, example A identified 2 words most similar in meaning. Look at the next example here. You have to look for words most similar in type. So it says with this question, underline the 2 words in each line which are most similar in type or meaning. So you've got pork, beef, chicken, mutton, and turkey. I'm going to say mutton is probably a word that you're not familiar with. So let me just expand this slightly. Oh, let's get that in there. There we go. What do you first notice about these words? They're all different types of meat. We're going to be cooking burgers in a few weeks, year 5. So this link will not identify the pair of words you are looking for. Working from left to right, note down facts or associated words about each option in turn. And in brackets, it says just 2 links are shown for each word here, but you may think of many more. So let's scroll down. For an animal, you've got pork, sausages. You've got beef from an animal, burgers. Yes, we're doing burgers in a few weeks. You've got chicken from a bird, nuggets. I know you eat them at the weekends. Mutton from an animal. And if you didn't know, mutton is from lamb. And then you've got turkey, which we eat lots of at Christmas, from a bird. Christmas. Has this process highlighted a link between 2 of the options? Yes. It's clear that 3 are types of meat obtained from animals. You've got pork is from pigs,
beef is from cows, and mutton is from sheep. I do think the last one is the one that maybe you've now learned something about because you may have not known. Mutton is from sheep. And two are types of poultry meat. The two words most similar in type must therefore be chicken and turkey. Let's move on. I need to sort of move that again. There we go. In a slightly easier variation of this question type, you may be given a word and be asked to find the best synonym from a group of words. Although the question may look different from the example that we've just seen, you can still use the same thought process to find the answer. So I think with verbal reasoning, you need to recognize that actually you're going to get similar types of questions, but the type of thought process that you need to apply to these questions is very similar. So let's have a look at this example. Underline the word in the brackets that closest in meaning to the words in capitals. So your word in capitals, that's what it asks you to look at, is unhappy. In brackets, you've got unkind, death, laughter, sad, friendly. So first consider the meaning of the given word on the left. Unhappy. What does it mean? It means being sorrowful, miserable, gloomy, and depressed. And none of those words, 5T, you especially would have experienced being in my class. So then read through the words in the brackets to identify a synonym for this word. If it's not clear, is the best option basically working from left to right. Think about each word in turn, noting the meaning of each one until you find the word that is closest. So following this logical process, and I think again I will say here, that word logical, that's being sort of thoughtful, considerate of your answers, going through this process of analyzing the questions or looking at them really carefully, and you will find that unhappy and sad are the same, closest in meaning in the above example. Remember that these tests are timed. Well, it says usually timed there. They are timed. I think from my understanding that you have an hour to answer something like 80 questions year 5. That's a lot. So you've actually got to work quite quickly to make sure that you get through them all. So let's have a look at the next example. You're going to now try and have a go at some of these questions. Let's see how you get on. Okay, year 5, you have 3 minutes to answer these questions. Don't write all the words, just underline or write the 2 words in each line. Off you go. Year 5, you have 1 minute to go. Oh my word, that's one of my favourite piano pieces. It's a piece I've actually been trying to learn Year 5. It's Clair de Lune by Debussy, for those of you who are practicing or playing a piano, which I do, and I love doing. Anyway, moving on, let's have a look at the answers. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to try and reveal these answers to you now. There we go. Ooh, let's try and get that a little bit wider. There we go. So 1A was political and filthy. B was cart and wagon. Number 2, saunter and pounce for B. Number 3, A, jog, trot, and B, melody and tune. Number 4, A was faint, B was star. And then finally, for question 5, it said find a word that is similar in meaning to the word in capital letters and that rhymes with the second word. So you had collect. So the word that rhymes with wretch is fetch. And then slumber. So slumber is to sleep. So cheap and sleep rhyme. That was a tricky one, I've got to say, Year 5. There was a lot in that you needed to understand, to learn. Do feel free just to go back and rewatch this video. It's the first time, actually, that I think we have made videos for familiarization. We've normally done it as a Zoom session. We used to do it as a classroom session after school, but there were too many people turning up. It was just ridiculous. We had like 80 plus students all in a classroom, and that was just not possible. So I believe, and I've been speaking to Mrs. McDonough about this, that actually doing these videos is probably the best way to do it, because it means you can access them in your own time and you can rewatch, practice, practice, practice. And then we'll also provide you with some extra work over the next few weeks, and you can use those and practice those for homework. So let's move on to the next section. So yes, we're on to the last section of this tutorial, Year 5, and let's get through this one, and then you can go out and enjoy what hopefully is the summer sunshine. So find words that are the most opposite. So words that are opposite in meaning are called antonyms. We've been talking about synonyms all day, and today it's all about antonyms. Verbal reasoning questions can also test your knowledge of words by asking for antonyms. So the wider your vocabulary, the easier you will find these questions. So let's look at this example. It says, underline one word in the brackets which is most opposite in meaning to the word in capitals. So the word in capitals is wide. Let's have a look at the word in brackets. You've got broad, vague, long, narrow, motorway. Think about the word outside the brackets and then what it means. Note down any synonyms that come to mind. So let's have a look at wide. Wide and wide and similar meanings are broad and large. So there are the words that mean the same as wide. Let's go on to the next slide. I'm going to forward that on now. So then consider each of the words in the brackets in turn, working from left to right. For each word, think about its meaning, then note down words that mean the opposite. Remember, antonyms is opposite. Do any of these antonyms include the word outside the brackets or its synonym? So broad, narrow, thin, slender. Nope. Vague, precise, distinct, clear. Nope. Long, short, wide, broad, large, question mark, nope. Narrow, opposite to narrow, wide and broad. And that will be a tick. And then you've got motorway, track, lane, nope. So from these, it is clear that narrow is the opposite to wide, so should be underlined as the correct answer. So this is your opportunity now to answer some questions. You are going to have 30 seconds, which I'm going to start now. Your time is up. So let's scroll down here. Let's have a look how you've got. So it said, now it's your turn. Underline one word in the brackets which is most opposite in meaning to the word in capitals. So the big reveal, drum roll. So diluted, you had watered, cocktail, concentrated, cordial, or drink. The answer was concentrated. B was exact. You had accurate, thorough, correct, approximate, specific. If you think about it, year 5, you've been sometimes asked in maths to give an approximate answer. That doesn't mean you give the actual answer. It's not exact, so it's approximate. And then finally with C, you had separate, and you had the choice of singles, detach, combine, filter, and individual. Combine, that's bring together. It's opposite to separate. Okay, so that was our final session. In this particular tutorial session, and I hope you enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed actually doing this on Chromecast. It's sort of like a recording tool that allows me to record slides, deliver for you to listen to me, to play my really annoying countdowns, and hopefully you've learnt a lot from today, year 5. What I will say is I want you to bring in to me, hand them to me, your sheets from today. Now, I'm not going to mark them. Mr. Meller and Mr. McGregor aren't going to mark these. It's just so that we can see that actually you've done them and you've accessed this video, you've had a go, and it's not about seeing how well you've done. It's about seeing that you've actually watched the video and learned something from it. I know some of you are currently having tutor sessions with private tutors, which is great. Some of you may not be doing that, and this is what we're here to do, which is help you with entrance exams in September. And come and speak to us. Come and speak to Mr. Mellor. Come and speak to Mr. McGregor and say, you know what, I've really found that quite tricky. And just let us know. I'm going to be doing some more sessions. I'm hoping that Mr. Mellor is going to do some math sessions for you as well. So speak to you soon, Year 5. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and let's catch up next week.